Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to show you the process of replacing an ABS module on a 2013 Mazda 3. So the way I discovered that I needed a new brake module was when my brakes lost the vast majority of its brake pressure. Driving down the road, I went to hit the brakes and the brake pedal basically just went to the floor. And there hasn't been really any pressure coming from the brakes unless I pretty much floor it, and even then I don't have full brake pressure. So that's how I was able to diagnose the ABS module. Now, there are a number of other contributing factors that could cause this. For example, it could be the brake booster, which is also by the ABS module. It's over here where the master cylinder is. Speaking of master cylinder, the master cylinder could also be a problem. Another problem that it could be is the brake fluid could be bad. It could have some air in it, or it could just be, could have been heat cycled too many times, and basically the fluid just gets weak, and when it compresses, it doesn't hold pressure. So what I did first is I actually replaced my brake fluid, and I'll show you the old fluid right here. It's over here on the ground, and I'll pull it up and I'll put it right here. So this is where it came from. As you can see, it's pretty dark. If you're someone who's mechanically inclined, you'll probably cringe at this. This is about 4-year-old brake fluid, if not older than that. When I bought the car, I was told that the fluids were all replaced, so I'm assuming 4 years, but it could be older than that. I'm not sure, but this is what was in the car before. I bled all the calipers and I refilled the brake fluid reservoir. Still, the car was not holding any brake pressure. So I took it to multiple mechanics. They could not diagnose the problem. Ended up taking it to the Mazda dealership, who were able to have the scan tools to be able to read the car's computer and be able to diagnose specifically the ABS codes. They came to find out that the ABS module on my car had failed, and it was for this reason that the brakes were not holding any pressure when they were applied. Now, usually when an ABS module fails, on the vast majority of cars, you're going to get an ABS light on your dashboard. With these cars, however, sometimes for whatever reason, that light may or may not come on even if the ABS module fails. In my case, it did not come on, so I did not suspect an ABS issue. But after taking it to the dealership and having it diagnosed, like I said, I found out it was an ABS issue. So it came down to the ABS module failing. They say that this is likely due to bad fluid, which could have easily been my case. Like I said, my brake fluid is 4 years old. Vast majority of mechanics say to replace it after 2, and I did not do that because I was ignorant. I will also say in my personal defense that this is actually a somewhat common failure point for these cars. For whatever reason, these ABS modules tend to fail. Considering that this is partly a Ford product, this is an earlier Mazda 3, so some of the components are Ford. Ford around this time period was known for having ABS issues on a number of their models. So I guess the Mazda 3 was kind of a part of that. I've heard of stories about these parts failing as early as 60,000 miles. My car almost got 140, so luckily it lasted that long for me, but this is generally a part that should last the life of the car as long as you keep good fluid in it. So there could be a combination of just poor design and my lack of maintenance on my part. So I'm ending up having to replace this part. You're going to notice that this part is not in perfect condition. This is because this is a used part. Now, the reason why I bought a used part is because the new part costs a lot of money. These parts generally go for around $700 to $800 brand new from Mazda. You can't buy them remanufactured unless you send out your old module to somebody and they remanufacture it themselves. But that takes time, that takes money. You have to ship it out somewhere. I opted to just go buy a working used ABS module. At least that's what the listing claimed. But when we put this in, we'll probably find out. I'm pretty sure it'll work, but sometimes you just never know with these things. But what I was careful to do was make sure to read in the listing that this part was tested and that it was confirmed to work, which in the listing for this on eBay, it was confirmed. So here's some of the part number information. And as you can see, as I described, this is a Ford part. This is Ford Motor Company right here. There is your part number. That's what you're looking for when you go to find an ABS module for a 2013 Mazda 3. I believe all of the modules work for all the trims. This is a iSport Sky Active. This is what fits this car. From what I hear, it'll fit any of the MZR models, even the speed models, but just do some internet research and make sure that that is the case. Don't take my word for that. I am not 100% sure of that. Now, when you open the hood of your Mazda 3, you're going to struggle to find where that ABS module is. The master cylinder is right down here, and then the brake booster is way back there behind it. But the ABS module is actually behind the battery. It's like up in there. So in order to access it, you have to remove the battery and you have to remove the battery box, which on these cars is kind of a pain in the butt. But it can be done, and it can be done fairly quickly. So right now I'm going to go ahead and remove the battery so I can get access to the ABS module. Before taking the battery out, I'm going to go ahead and take note of the mileage in the maintenance monitor right here for my tire rotation and when my service is due. I track my oil changes using this, and as I can see, I got 2,700 miles left on this oil. The reason why you want to take note of this is because when you go to unplug the battery, it's going to completely reset this. It's also going to do the same for your tire rotations. Now I have, about the same miles. Okay, yeah, so make sure you take note of that when you, before you unplug the battery, because when you unplug the battery, this is going to reset and you're not going to remember when your service is due. So make sure you take a note of that by turning the car to the on position on your key. You're going to go, see, you're going to push info. You're going to cycle it from where your fuel economy is at. Keep clicking. That's your audio information. There's your settings. You go down to maintenance. You use this keypad right here. You scroll down, push enter, and there's your tire rotation and service due. You want to take note of both of these before you unplug the battery. You may want to do this also for your radio presets as well, but I'm not going to do that here. To remove your battery, you're first, of course, going to want to undo your negative terminal, then your positive terminal, which is going to be this one. This is your positive, this one's your negative. Negative first, positive then. And then there's going to be a bracket attached with two 10mm nuts right there and right over here. There's a bracket. You pull the handle off the battery off, you pull that out, and then you pull the battery out. And now I got to figure out a way to remove the battery box itself. So I will return when I have figured that out. Okay, so I did get the battery box removed. It was indeed a pain in the rear, but I did get it out of my way, not necessarily out. It's propped up by some needle nose pliers. But I do have access now to the ABS module, which is that piece right there. A lot of people were saying that it was going to be difficult to reach. It's actually not as bad. It looks worse on camera, but it's really not that bad. Then again, I'm used to tight spaces. I can navigate around tight spaces pretty well. And I'm able to reach in there with a 10mm wrench. So I am able to take off all the brake lines, which is great news. For right now, I'm just going to worry about removing the ABS module, and I'm going to show you how to remove the battery box and get it out of your way later on in the video once I reassemble everything. This way you can see all of the things that you need to disconnect and remove before you lift away the battery box. One thing to check for while you have the battery box removed, you want to check your transmission mount. That's going to be this block right here with the bolt in it. You want to check that because that part is something that fails pretty often on these cars. Same with the engine mounts, the top one and the bottom one. I actually did a video on how to replace both of those. You can go ahead and check those out. But while you're here, make sure your transmission mount is not cracked or like dried up or anything like that because it's rubber. Luckily for me, it looks to be in pretty good shape, so I don't have to replace that. Before we go ahead and remove the ABS module, there is one thing that we do need to do. That is going to be to prop the brake pedal with some sort of beam. And you want to make sure that you got that pressed all the way down, and then you press that beam up against the brake pedal. What this is going to do is prevent air from getting back into the brake system when you take off the brake lines. Okay, so I'm now speaking to you 2 days later because removing the old ABS module suddenly became very difficult. Let me show you what happened. So every other brake line managed to come out smooth except for these two right here. There's one here and there's this third one in the back over here. If I zoom in, you're going to see that the head of both of those is rounded and pretty badly damaged. I don't know if this was from me working or if this was from a previous job, but the second I put the wrench on, I was able to undo all of them no problem except for these two. These two, the heads just rounded themselves and stripped. So the way I was able to get those out was by using some WD-40, and I did manage to get just enough grip to get that nut loose enough with the WD-40 to get it loose to the point where it did start to turn and come out. This one, however, was a real, or actually no, this one, sorry, this one, this rounded one was a really difficult one. And so what I actually ended up doing was taking that nut there, that's a 10 millimeter, that's actually what holds the bracket in for the ABS module. I took that out, rotated the whole ABS module with that line still attached, and it moved all the, I had to move all these lines out too, and get my wrench in there to the point where I was able to get it to grab onto a flat area of the nut that wasn't rounded, and only then was I able to turn it. It didn't take too much force, but that's how I managed to do it. So if you're stuck in that situation, that's one way to do it. Probably not the most ideal, but that's how I managed to get it out. I'm aware that will become a problem later, but for right now, all I'm concerned about is cleaning up this ABS module, the working one, and moving the bracket onto this module. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started. All right, so the functional module is now all cleaned up with the bracket installed, ready to be put into the car. I'm crossing my fingers that this goes smoother than the removal. I went ahead and cleaned up in there as much as I could because it was pretty nasty. And with that, the ABS module is now officially on. Time to reassemble the intake and the battery box now. And there we are. That is how to replace a ABS module on a 2013 or a second generation Mazda 3. Personally, I have to say that was one of the most difficult car repairs, if not the most difficult car repairs I've ever had to do, just because the spacing in there is just so tight. But I did manage to get it done. So next thing I gotta do is bleed all the brakes, but I am going to do that off camera just to spare you all that. That's something that's pretty easy to do. So I won't go in depth to that. Before I end the video, I did say that I was gonna go over how I removed the battery. So first thing you're gonna wanna do, of course, is remove the battery. You're gonna wanna take out, there's two 10mm nuts right here holding this bracket on. You take that out. Undo the negative and positive terminals, take the battery out. Then what you're going to see, if you come over here, right here, there's two giant connectors. That's the ECU, which is attached to the side of the battery box. First thing you're going to want to do is actually undo this bolt right here. This is going to remove this electrical piece. I'm not sure what it is, but it does connect to the ECU. You're going to want to remove that. Then when you go to remove the connector for the ECU, I would recommend you do this with the battery unplugged. You push this pin in right here, this tab, this plastic tab right here, and then this plastic like handle lifts up, and it's the same for this side. So you push, it actually even says lock. You push that down and then pull back on that. Once you do that, you're going to move these connectors out of your way. Try to push this out of your way as much as possible. What you may want to do next is actually remove the top of the air box. You may have seen this in the video. Just remove the top of the air box, get that out of your way so you have more room to move this out of your way. Then the battery box itself is in two pieces. This is actually one plate right here. You're going to lift that plate up. There's going to be some tabs on the inside and outside. There's some down there too. You take some needle nose pliers, you take those tabs out, you move the wires away, pull this out. Then there's going to be three 10mm bolts, one right here, and then one right there. They're deep in there, so get an extension. Undo all of those, and then you just kind of have to wedge and wiggle that back edge out to get the battery box out. It's a really, really tight fit. It's a pretty poor design, but that's how it's done. You cannot remove this. If you try to remove this plastic trim piece right here, there's just metal underneath, like right up underneath it. There's not, you can't really see it, but there's not really enough room there. So it's not something that's really possible. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you want more Mazda 3 content, please go ahead and check out my channel. Once again, thank you for watching.